What's up, y'all, and welcome back to another episode
of The Real.
With my co-host, Colt 45, live from the Colt 45 studios right here in his bedroom this evening. All right, today we're talking mistakes that river anglers make. I got a feeling this one's going to sting me and you some. We might be guilty of some of these things from time to time, and I'm sure some of y'all probably are as well, but we'll dive off of that in a little bit. Got some fishing reports coming at y'all. Of course, Miley's going to have the weather. Got something new this week. Tiger Creek Bait and Tackle. You remember Chris over there where we've been getting them sweet bullets from. Y'all go to his Facebook page, Tiger Creek Bait and Tackle. Check out the reels he's got. He's running a bait shop off of Facebook. He's got reels, tackle, Georgia Boy lures, everything you need. He ships every day. Chris is a super awesome guy. But anyway, this is a new segment, the Tiger Creek Bait and Tackle Fish of the Week. This week's winner is none other than Colt's friend Xander. Y'all check out this big bass, and we'll be right back.
Man, that was a giant.
Man, what a fish, Xander. Let me tell y'all, actually, Coach, remember when Xander was on our football team?
Yeah.
So that was a team there that we had. But congratulations, Xander, with the Tiger Creek Bait and Tackle Fish of the Week. If y'all got a fish that y'all want to submit, just send it in to us. We'll be glad to try and share it on the show. But let's start diving off. Let's talk fishing. You know, this week's kind of been a dead week for us. So I hadn't even wet a line. The rains blew the rivers out. Have you fished any in the pond out back?
Yeah,
Okay.
sir.
What you been catching out there?
Just a bunch of bluegill.
Well, they're getting ready to pull up and spawn too before long.
Yeah.
And so I think one thing y'all need to keep an eye on while the rivers is high is the swamp. You know, the warmouth. Every now and then, we're talking down in Folkestone. I like the Swanee Canal side early in the year, you know, where we've been down there.
Yes, sir.
But what's going to happen is, and normally the bite gets really good into April, May, but you get a little warming spell. You know them years like we went camping down there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You get a warming spell, man, you can get into some really good warmouth before anybody else catches them. So just watch that water temperature every day. If it starts to climb, you know, that could be some really good fishing down at the swamp. And if you go down there to the Swanee Canal, put in at the boat ramp, and as you're going out to the actual canal, where that island separates the outgoing and incoming traffic, perfect place to fish. But,
Yes, sir.
hadn't really heard many reports from the lakes, but I'm guessing the bass are still in the spawn. Some places probably post-spawn. Some you may even still be pre-spawn because we kind of had these weird little spouts of cool weather. So anyway, but with that, so I guess the report this week's there's not much of a report. Hopefully the rivers will get right. We'll be looking forward to that. But with that, I guess we'll go to Miley with the weather. Miley, what do you got for us?
Thanks, Dad. It's been a hot week. And I need to talk to you guys about the comments. When I'm reading them constantly, it's all about Colt 45 this, Colt 45 this, Colt 45 so funny. Show me some love, y'all. I'll take a hey comment. Say something about my big forehead. Please.
Wow, so that just happened.
As always, thank you, Miley, I think. All right, we're talking mistakes people make on the river today. Let's dive off in it now. And I got some key points down. We'll try to run through it quick. And let me say this as a disclaimer first. If you're here to get mad and be nasty in the comments, don't. I'll delete it. And seriously, these aren't mistakes that we're saying that we don't make that you do. No, these are things we do even currently. And I know I've been doing it for 30 years, but I think when you talk about them, bring it to light, it gets in your mind, and maybe you don't make the mistake as often.
Yes,
So,
sir.
right out the gate, Cole, what do you think's the number one mistake that people make on the
Tackle box is too big.
Tackle box is too big? Somebody's been cheating on my note sheet there. I like it. And that tackle box, of course, isn't too big, but he's right. And the fact is you see so many people, and I used to be like this, I don't know how many thousands of dollars worth of tackle I had. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I'm make sure I want to say that. That doesn't make you a bad person because you have tackle. As a matter of fact, if I run low, I'm liable to call you. But what I'm saying here, for river fishing, find you 4, 5, maybe even 6 lures that you believe in a few colors. Learn to fish them. Have confidence in fishing them. I think that's key. So what's your go-to bait on river? Something you like for bass?
I like buzzbait.
The buzzbait. There you go. So, you know, Colt's going to come out, and that's what here lately, I can even tell you, it's the Macho Minnow buzzbait, quarter ounce. Last summer, it was a 1/8 ounce blackout. He got on a kick. He got confident with it. Get confident with something and use it. You know, I think river fishing can really, you could fish a river with, like I said, 4 to 6 lures. Let's talk, buzz baits. I don't really like them as much, but crankbaits, spinner baits work good. On the Satilla, of course, a Rogue is a staple. Now, see, I don't like throwing a Rogue. All my friends do. They catch giant bass on them, more than me. But when I tie on a Rogue,
Wacky worms.
zero confidence. See, that's
Wacky
it.
worms.
A wacky worm, for me, is the equivalent to a suspending Rogue for another angler. Yeah, I can twitch it, and, what you got?
I'm kind of guilty with this as well, but with the tackle box, you may wanna, because I have stuff I ain't even opened yet. You just need to make sure it ain't too filled out.
Them Guggen boys. Well, hey, here's something to prove that you got way too much tackle. And I told Colt this a little while ago. Take everything you caught a fish on in the past, say even 6 months, everything lure you caught a fish on, put it in one pile on the river. Now, I'm not talking about lakes. We're talking about rivers. Put it in one pile. Then put everything you haven't used in another pile. I promise you, which pile is going to be way bigger?
The ones we ain't used.
Right, exactly. Because you got confidence baits, whether you realize it or not. But take those confidence baits and get really good with it. When I tie on a buzz bait, gosh darn it, I believe I'm about to catch a big fish. When I tie on a wacky worm and I've only got a couple colors I'm going to go to, those are colors that I'm going to catch big fish. Don't let your tackle box get too big. My grandpa, he told me one time a long time ago, and this stuck with me. He said the difference between my generation and y'all's, he said, we spent all our time on the river learning how to fish. He said, y'all spent all y'all's time in Walmart buying stuff to fish. And it's true.
It's true, yeah.
You ain't going to catch people. You ain't going to catch no fish on the aisle at Walmart. You will leave with less money in your wallet and probably your wife mad at you. But we're not diving off into that today. So don't let your tackle box get too big. Tip number 2. Let's go ahead and talk about you don't understand the level and the discharge of the river. The level is your gauge height. The discharge is your cubic foot per second.
I do not understand the words you said, but...
Right. Well, it's like we check the gas. Perfect. You said that. When we check the gauges before we go, that's what I'm looking at. Like, for instance, on Satilla, a lot of places, we like it to be 6 feet.
Oh, yeah.
We like it to be 200 foot a second. Why is that number important? Well, it could be 6 feet, and depending if it's rising really fast or falling really fast, you might not be able to fish a Colt 45. Mm-hmm. So if me and you show up ready to go catch roosters on a Colt 45 spinnerbait and the water's moving 700 feet a second, it ain't happening. And I could have Googled that. Any river, I don't care whether you're on the Satilla, Lappahaw, Altamahaw, Oconee, Flint, every river is on the gauge. You can look at those numbers before you go. It takes just a second. And do this. Learn to keep track of them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
When I go to we went that Saturday for a couple hours. We didn't catch, I ain't gonna say the river, top secret. But we didn't catch a fish. You say, well, how is that good? I like how the river was setting up, but it needed to be about 6 inches lower. So time,
it was fast.
Right.
Really?
It needed to slow down a little too. So time we get off the water, I screenshot that in my phone, make a note of it. So now next time the river sets up that same way, except for it's moving 100 foot a cubic second less and it's 6 inches lower, then I know boom, 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 it's hammer time.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm saying. That's the key difference. It's like not checking the weather before you go fishing. I mean, who would, if tomorrow, because I'm probably going to head to a lake in the morning, first thing I did was check the wind. Because I don't want to get out and get pushed around by it.
Yes,
don't fall asleep on me, son. Don't fall asleep. But check that weather. Check the gauge just like you do the weather. It's just as important. It's probably more important because if the river ain't even fishable to start with, the weather is irrelevant. So learn to rely on the gauges. We've talked about that before. I think another good one too is the wrong boat for the water you're fishing.
Yes, sir.
Now, what I want to say about that is, okay, like kayak, we love kayak fishing.
Yes, sir.
I've owned boats. We've done a little bit, all of it really. I've had about every size boat you can have. I like kayak fishing right now. That may change next year. There's nothing wrong with whatever you like to fish out of. But don't expect to bring a Triton bass boat with a 250 horsepower up here to the upper Satilla and break out your swamp spider and catch roosters where we're catching them, because you're not even going to get 50 yards from the boat ramp.
Yes, sir.
It's the wrong boat for the water you're fishing. It's no different than if I tried to hang this on the wall with a sledgehammer. Sledgehammer's a great tool. It'll do a lot of heavy work.
But it ain't what
It's not for that. So know that your boat's right. So if you've got a boat that's more equipped for the bigger part of Satilla, hey, go down there, use that big motor to make long runs. That's your advantage. Just like with us with a kayak, our advantage is getting where people can't go. And so that'll even lead us into our next topic, I think, is going. This is a huge mistake that I believe a lot of y'all are making, because I've made it, especially when Colt was little. I'll tell you about that. I grew up fishing the Satilla River, right here at Gigi's house.
Yes, sir.
Every day after school, walk right through the woods, private property. Some of the best fishing, man. Back in them days, whew, that's before the flatheads were bad. Man, you could catch 30 fish in the afternoon, but let me fast forward. While I get older, that property gets purchased by somebody else. Can't go there no more.
Yes,
So, and this is just recent. This is 11 years ago. Colt's a baby. When he started fishing with me, 6 months old out there in the boat. But so I start going to these boat ramps like Jamestown, 84, the FFA, and man, there's 100 boats in the parking lot. River Pirates is running around barefooted, drinking who knows what. And, anyway, but there's people all over the river fishing. And hey, that's what it's there for. There's nobody doing nothing wrong. But if you go where everyone goes, expect to catch what everybody else catches. And that's usually not a lot. It wasn't for us.
Smaller.
Right. Yeah. I remember times me and Colt would put in. I'd run 10 minutes with my trolling motor or with some of my boats with my bigger motor, far as I could go, which wasn't far. Starts throwing a buzzbait, throwing a spider, might catch 2 or 3 fish, So you got to get where others don't. So that goes back to you could tie that into the boat. Get that right boat. If your boat ain't letting you get where you need to be, get a smaller boat. Or if you don't like smaller boat fishing, get you a bigger boat and make longer runs. But make sure all that's lining up. The gauge, the boat, the getting away from the crowd. So if you're seeing people while you're fishing, you're messing up. I'm telling you, and that can sting. If you're seeing more than a person every few hours, I mean, it's not going to work good.
Like some places we go, we don't see nobody the whole float.
Right, I'd say the majority of the time we don't. The majority of the time. So we talked about that. Maximizing your time. He just said float trip, and this will lead into that really good. Maximize your time on the river. And I know everybody don't have somebody to pick them up in a kayak or like what we do. But if you're going with a buddy and you both got kayaks, instead of spending an hour paddling up the river, just wasted, no fishing time or whatever, hey, park one at a landing. And there's some short floats you can find looking at the maps too, That's something else that I don't even have wrote down. Look at your maps on your phone. My buddy Jacob, man, and Josh, that I talk about a lot on here, they're good at that. They send me pins, they show me stuff, So I keep wondering, you're going to follow out on me, man. It's getting sketchy. We better hurry. But seriously, it's not that boring. But, seriously, rely on those maps, rely on maximizing your time, learn those float trips, leave a truck, float,
Yes,
do those kind of things, And also, too, you don't always have to go far. Here's what I mean by that. Some of these smaller, the Little Satilla, Alabahal, hey, man, you can put into the bridge, and if there's a log blocking it 25 yards up where nobody can go, well, hey, time you put in, go around that log, you start fishing.
Yes,
Nobody's been there. So managing time don't always mean a long, hard run. Don't always mean a long, hard float trip, anything like that. But these are the most common mistakes I think people are making. We're going to talk more about rivers. I think the rivers are starting to get right. Let me show y'all. I'm going to let Colt show y'all real quick these hats right here. We just got in. These are really super cool. You can go one at a time here. You want
My
to put them up
personal
closer?
favorite.
That's his personal favorite. But these are the Georgia Boy Outdoors hats. We got them 15% off right now. You can go to georgiaboylures.com. I'll put a link. You can find them there. All kinds of new styles. We also got some new Georgia Boy Lures hats and a bunch of other cool stuff. But I'll be sure to put that code below. Thank y'all for watching. If you hadn't already, do us a favor. Be sure and like this video. Click on that notifications icons. Subscribe to the channel. And me and Colt 45.
We'll see you next time out of water or in the bedroom.
Next time out on the water or even in the bedroom.